like this to be a chat, and Trish and Harmony out there in Zoom land, please unmute yourselves if you'd like to share as well. This is intention. It's not just an unfinished slide. I'd intentionally like to get some feedback of why volunteer and what you're volunteering. I should have included what you're doing out there today that are your passion projects outside of buying and helping people buy and sell real estate. So if anybody would like to share what you're doing to either lead or to serve in the community, or why you're doing that, or a combination thereof, I would love to hear what's going on in your lives outside of Village. Anybody like to share?
I will.
Trish.
Sure. Hi.
Hey.
I volunteer for the Children's Hospital. So there's an organization called Friends, and I have volunteered for them for a few years now, actually a number of years. And I was the chair of their Friends in Fashion in 2019. And we had a record year raising money for that. I will say this, though, I don't volunteer as much as I used to because real estate sort of took over for me because I thought, well, I'm volunteering so much that this could actually be a job. So, but that is the one that I still go to. So they send out volunteer requests on a monthly basis or just sometimes randomly, and ask for whoever can do this to please come in and do it. So that's sort of my main charity that I do it for, because my son had to have emergency surgery when he was like 14 months old and was in the Children's Hospital for 6 days. So yeah, that's what I do.
Awesome. And that's at Monroe Carroll.
It is, yes.
Excellent. That's a one that's on my husband and I have a annual budget of giving, and Monroe Carroll is on there. Our oldest grandson, when he was a week old, got to spend some quality time at Monroe Carroll. So we're huge fans of that as well. Thanks for sharing, Trish. Awesome. Sure. Maria, did you have something?
Yes. I will see just once a month. Translator, and also just getting people to cooperate and collaborate in the community for
Excellent. Okay, so I'm gonna just give a little synopsis for the folks on the Zoom, and it's called Halcyon. Did you say?
It's the Housing Trust.
The Housing Trust Fund. Excellent. Housing Trust. This is Maria Jackson, volunteers for the Housing Trust Fund with Metro, and it's to help. She functions in a number of roles, but including acting as a translator to help people collaborate on solving issues around affordable housing, access to affordable housing in our community here. Excellent. In Nashville. Okay, great. Awesome. Thanks. Would anybody else like to share?
I'll share real quick. Can you hear me at home, Trish?
Yes.
Cool. Okay, good. Sometimes so that's the one thing we're trying to solve is audio being here by people at home. I don't volunteer locally much at all the way that I wish. I want to make that more of a regular practice because I believe in that. But I do volunteer once a year at a leadership conference and kind of camp. And I've received several referrals from that, but I've not done a great job in promoting the fact that I can help people connect to a realtor anywhere in the world. And I know that I think it's a big area that we miss in our business, and that it's just like free-ish money, right? It's referral fees 25% without having to really do too much of that work. And if you want to now, with the leading RE, they'll help screen local brokerages. I mean, they have a network of local brokerages worldwide, and they'll place your referral for you. But otherwise, you can just use Facebook groups and ask, does anybody have somebody in Biloxi, Mississippi? And you'd be amazed how many people know someone, and make a few phone calls. But I think don't miss those opportunities of other broader volunteer opportunities that you may do or travel, and how you could leverage that, turn those into tax deductions and, places or other places outside of local that you want to serve. But
Okay, so Zoomlanders heard that,
cool.
right? Okay, great. So Ted volunteers at an AYF Youth Leadership Foundation, right? In the middle of frickin' nowhere, Michigan. All right. He was for if anybody noticed, he was incommunicado a couple of weeks ago. It was because he had been eaten by a giant mosquito in the wilds of Michigan. But that's led to so many relationships. And I mean, he had a closing at the end of last month. It was a referral from one of his, connections there. So it's, again, it's not that he's doing that in order to build his business. It's that his business actually just gets built because of that and those relationships.
And I can say like WIT, I know WIT volunteers with the Phoenix Club or the Phoenix something, and he gets a ton of business from that. You serve on, I used to be on the board of the Red Cross, like getting in board relationships, and there's so much business. I don't use it for that, but like it's sort of silly and I think almost selfish if you believe in the good service and the work that you do, not to share it with those in those spaces. You don't have to be super salesy about it, but people just organically kind of comes up, and you could look at other creative ways to support the lunch that day and just say, oh, it's Ted, our fellow board member, he's also a local realtor,
Right. Absolutely. And again, it's just if you're called to service, whether it's your community as a volunteer or to lead, you are surrounding yourselves by like-minded folk, right? And that's how we all build our business. We work with people who like, know, and trust us, right? And so, my business is probably not going to be built around and there's nothing wrong with this, but for example, if there was a Proud Boys rally, I'm probably not going to find as much as many like-minded folks there as I might at a Habitat for Humanity build. That's just kind of where I'm drawn to. So whatever you're drawn to, there are going to be other people who are drawn there for the similar reasons, and you're going to like, know, and trust each other, right? So, all right, excellent. Thank you all so much for participating in that discussion. And if anybody else wants to share as we're going along, please do. And we can also have an after party and talk about our favorite volunteer jams and such. And at some point, I've been trying to get some traction around doing something here at Village along the lines of maybe just a luncheon to talk about what people are doing in the community, different projects, because I find that a lot of times many people want to get involved, want to participate, but they just don't know where to start or who to talk to or whatever. I had to get a start somewhere. And sometimes if somebody just says, hey, you want to go do this with me? So anyway, put a pin in that. We'll come back to that. A quick note for anyone who's gone through Ninja or was at the East sales meeting the last time, we've talked about this little book called The Go-Giver. And for those of you who have read it, you'll understand why this fits in this conversation. And it's not to say that this is the be all and end all Bible of why to get involved and how to build your business and such, but it is a great little allegory. And there are some who read it and think it's just total multi-level marketing crap. I find that if you just pull some of the core concepts out of it, it's actually really excellent. For example, one of the guiding points of this is your true worth is determined by how much more you give in value than you take in payment. That's not to say you can't take payment for the jobs that you do and jobs that you do well. And all of us are out there trying to do the very best and provide excellent service in real estate. And we absolutely should get paid for that. But there's so much more that we can give. And then again, your true worth is determined by how much you give. So, and the book promotes just changing your focus slightly from getting to giving, like going out there, I'm going to get a sale, I'm going to get some business. Well, maybe if the point is, if you focus on giving and put other people's interests first, and then bringing value, adding value to their lives, then ultimately that will lead to good things as well. So you're not going to get to grab, you're going out there to give and attract. And then very important, and this one kind of gets buried in there, but I'd like to put it out there just as a quick reminder that the key to effective giving is to remain open to receiving as well. Again, not to taking, but to receiving. When you're out there in the community, serving your community, whether it's in real estate professionally or volunteerism, it's not just about here, take this from me, rah, I'm going to give to you. You have to be receptive to receiving as well in whatever form people want to give it. So I struggle with that one a little bit. All right, so let's move on to just briefly talk about some local volunteer opportunities. And this session is gonna focus a lot on opportunities through real estate. That's the lens we're looking at here. And so when we talk about local volunteer opportunities, there are a bazillion out there, right? And if you're not sure where to start, if you don't have a local organization that you're currently involved with, Hands On Nashville is a great place to start. The mission of Hands On Nashville is to help meet community needs through volunteerism. And so it matches up folks who want to volunteer with local organizations that need volunteers. All right, so that's all it is. It's a meet and greet. You know, it's a tender for volunteer people, right? So, or I don't even know what tender is. I don't know why I said that. So, but I'm trying to be hip. Or, you know, talk to folks in Village. Hey, just listen to what folks are doing. I mean, I can put my finger on 5 people right now in this building, at least they were in the building minutes ago, who are out there in the community doing different things in different ways, whether it's focusing on, you know, serving the underserved, or helping with the community infrastructure, that sort of thing, all sorts of ways. But if you don't know where to start, Hands On Nashville is a great place to start, because local not-for-profits will contact them and say, we have a project that we really need, the word I want, staffed, you know, peopled, you know, not funded. We need bodies. We need people to help do this. So that's a great place to start. But we can also start here at Village. And so Village we've got this table with this cool little Village tablecloth thing, and a pop-up tent, and that it's the Village booth that Village will sponsor. And sometimes that sponsorship requires Village to pay some monies. And then sometimes it's just an opportunity to show up and be part of the community. And you can request to use if you want to set up a Village table at what was that dog thing you all used to do? It was like a dog day.
So yeah, like a dog at the Centennial, I think they did a dog day.
Exactly. So something like that. So you can talk to Village about doing that. But some of the things that they sponsor, the Franklin Main Street Festival was last month or so. So, and it was, you know, it's just celebrating the community. There were all sorts of music and all that sort of stuff. It's to have a Village presence, and there's an opportunity. You can sign up to be at that booth, and it's a chance for you to meet people, get yourself out there, and find out what's going on in your community, to connect with more folks. Nashville Pride this year, Parks did the booth at Pride Festival, but the year before, well, no, the year before it was COVID-y. Right before COVID, Village had a booth there, and you could sign up to participate in that. And Village will be sponsoring the Pride booth next year as well. So that's an opportunity. So you can look for the email that'll come out, sign up for that. Hillsborough Village had a street fair celebrating the community, promoting local business, that sort of thing, last year. And Phil Ryan is on the community association for Hillsborough Village, and so he was largely responsible for putting that together. 12 South has one of those as well. And then of course the Village Habitat Build Days through Greater Nashville Realtors. Our own Lon Hurst has long been the contact between Village, Greater Nashville Realtors, and Habitat for Humanity. And getting folks signed up for that. And little secret, I mean, there are only 30 slots or so, And if there are more people who want to volunteer, you can actually get on somebody else's build day. So talk to me about that.
Also suggest, like, if there's a community event or something going on in a neighborhood that we're not, and you want to, go to Village and ask about them participating in that, because I mean, brand awareness and presence is great. And know that, like, I always just piggyback on it, right? So like, rather than having to create your own event, go to movies in the park, bring a wagon, put your branding on it, bring your waters, and also get it out. Like, they don't keep you from doing that. So it's like, you don't have to create the whole event. Like, just piggyback on something that somebody else is doing, and like, you've got a built-in audience. So invite everybody to the free movies in the park, create a section, have your own popcorn and water and wagon, and how cool. And then, oh my gosh, I want to drag my wagon through and give it out to other people. Winning. And the same thing goes with these booth things. You got to get out in front of the booth and talk to the people and have something of value. Don't just expect they're going to walk by and like, oh, we're thinking about selling our house or villages here, like, big deal. So, I mean, I used to work at trade shows and events. You got to get out in the aisle and like reach out and what brings you out, or you have fun today, or have something to give them, and then strike up conversation.
Excellent. Ted, did I miss any village opportunities? You've
I think we did Wine Down Maine, which was in downtown Franklin. They had wine and arts things. Just look in your market and get on Nextdoor, get on Facebook groups, see sort of the community events that are going on as a part. And then, of course, volunteer opportunities within your family, your friends, your interests, your clubs, your kids, your pets, church, all that.
excellent. And you can even create your own event. You can create your own neighborhood cleanup event. You can, Nick Irwin, the King of Cleveland Park, you know, he's always creating community events, whether it's the yard sale or a community cleanup. One thing you can do, so Metro waste management, you can request 2 special pickups each year. Like, let's say you're cleaning out your basement or whatever. You could organize a community cleanup opportunity, and that's providing value to folks. Like, I don't know where to put my lead-based paint, you know, that sort of stuff. So you can come up with your own as well, and it doesn't have to be huge and grand. It can be a tiny something. All right, so I'm going to go on into opportunities through our realtor organizations at local, state, and national to talk about opportunities for both volunteerism and leadership as well. All right, so I thought this was, anybody think this is cute? I mean, I thought I created this. I thought this very cute. I did, look at me.
I like the little 3-star.
Exactly, state of Tennessee. I even positioned the stars correctly.
That's our state flag for those.
Yeah, so, all right. So let's start at the local level with Greater Nashville Realtors. And it is Greater Nashville Realtors. They would like us not to call it GNR. So I'm going to do my best to remember to call it Greater Nashville Realtors.
He did it.
All right. So the easiest, the simplest, the least time, time involved opportunity with Greater Nashville is through their ambassador program. Okay, so the ambassador program purpose is to provide better communication with the membership. All right, and the responsibilities are just to be a liaison between Greater Nashville Realtors and Village, help engage association members through just providing access to opportunities. In the education email that goes out every week at the bottom, there's a section for outside education opportunities, and we put those in there to help promote professional development through Greater Nashville. Let's see, and that would be the next point, promote programs and services offered by Greater Nashville Realtors. And then speak to agents in the office about upcoming events. There was just recently one, the Summer Mixer, which was super duper fun. There's one coming up at the end of this month that's a night at the Sounds, you know, so I think it's the end of July. And then also to have it be not just unilateral, but bilateral communication to share what's going on in your at the firm here with Greater Nashville, and then attend the ambassador meetings. It's a 1-year commitment. And currently we have Virginia Rogan and Emily Warner here. And you're also, that's right, but they have you listed under another. That's right. Jonathan is an ambassador as well. So if you have questions about that, ask Jonathan. All right. So then beyond the ambassador program, we have committee service. All right. And these are the committees that we currently have at Greater Nashville Realtors: the Awards of Excellence Committee, Commercial Committee, Habitat for Humanity, Housing Opportunities and Affordability, Legislative. Membership, it's got 2 stars after it because you have to have been a member for 5 years to be on the membership committee. Professional Development, and Jonathan and I are both currently on Professional Development Committee, Public Education, and then ORPAC. So these are the current committee opportunities at Greater Nashville. Committee, the applications will open usually in August to early September for committee service for the following year. You can go on the website for the Greater Nashville Realtors and find out more about each of these committees and what they do. Not all committees have the same requirements. Some meet more than others. Some are more seasonal, like Awards of Excellence. They don't have too much to do till 6 months before Awards of Excellence, and then it's like, and then you have to do lots of stuff. And same with Habitat for Humanity, whereas Legislative is really a year-round thing as well. So, and these committees are all very different. And so you can read about them, find out what you might be more interested in. So as I mentioned, Jonathan and I are both on the Professional Development Committee right now. Emily Warner is on Housing Opportunities and Affordability. We have lots of other people. I'm not trying to leave you out. Is anybody else serving on a committee right now, either in Zoom land or here? All right. No worries, just that I wanted to check and see. And then beyond just being a member on the committee and fulfilling those requirements, there's opportunities to lead the committees after you've been on it for once and sort of understand it, to become the chair of the committee. And then, so the chair really is what it sounds like, and it leads the committee's meetings, however often they are, and spearheads getting folks engaged for accomplishing whatever the committee needs to accomplish. Starting last year, they instituted a new program where they're appointing vice chairs, which is great because then that's a sort of you served on the committee, you're not quite ready to lead the committee, but you can learn to lead through being vice chair, sort of job shadowing and participating in that leadership structure without having ultimate responsibility. So, all right. Any questions about Greater Nashville Realtors Committee service? Again, look for those committee applications to open up probably in August, early September.
And they set up time.
Oh, you can't possibly fail to at least be aware that the committee applications have opened, for sure. All right, so another opportunity through Greater Nashville Realtors is a Greater Nashville Realtors Leadership Academy. All right, and this is it's a 3-session program where they are chock full. So I attended the Leadership Academy in 2019. Ted, you did it some time ago. It's been a minute. But it's a really wonderful program for learning about how the association works. What am I paying for here, folks? So there's really a lot that you get that's available to you through your membership in the realtor organization. So that this helps you get to know how the local association works. If you want to be part of leadership because you have a skill set you want to apply, or you just want to learn how things work better, or you want the opportunity it's a great networking opportunity. I remember when I went through Leadership Academy, Hagen Stone, who's the parks broker at Green Hills, he served on the NAR committees. He was the Tennessee Realtors president. He served at the local level, and he talks about through Leadership Academy, he talked about the crazy numbers of referrals he gets and gives through his networking. Now he's called to service, and that's what he likes to do. He likes to use his leadership skills and in ways to contribute to something larger than himself. But a natural byproduct from that is business building, right? So fun note, he was the national chair of the C2EX Commitment to Excellence program at its inception. So he had a lot to do with that for anybody who's participated in that. All right, so if you're interested in the Leadership Academy, you can find out that on Greater Nashville Realtors website. They open applications for that. Let's see, it says January 2023 is when you can look for applications for that. And yeah, it's a great program. And finally, through Greater Nashville Realtors Board Service. So nominations are open right now for serving on the board of directors. You can either nominate somebody, you can nominate somebody, either somebody else or yourself. And they've been open since July 5th, and nominations close August 1st. So if you are interested in board service, you've got another couple of weeks to get an application in. So, and great news, there is an informational meeting coming up about serving on the board of directors. So that's one thing that when I first started serving on a committee, as soon as you serve on a committee, they start asking you like, well, don't you want to serve on the board of directors? I'm like, not yet, I'm not quite ready for that. I don't understand what that entails. Well, they're gonna have an informational session, and they may have had it before, but I didn't know that. Anyway, it's going to be at Greater Nashville Realtors office on Wednesday, July 20th. They're also going to do it by Zoom, and so you can watch it as well. So if you have any interest in just knowing what it's like, what it means to be on the board of directors, what kind of requirements, you can ask questions, then you might want to join that. All right. So now let's move to the state level. All right. So we've got opportunities to, through the realtor organization, volunteerism and leadership kind of merge together, right? They dovetail and then lead up a, and it doesn't mean that you have to start at the local level service. You can go straight to Tennessee Realtors and serve at that level if you want to. So at the Tennessee Realtors, we have committee service, just like we do at the local level. All right. They have a few more committees and a few different committees. All right, broker involvement, budget and finance, bylaws, commercial forms, commercial forum, blah, 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 all the things. So lots of ones that are different here. And there's one that's interesting, professional standards. We used to have until through 2021, Greater Nashville Realtors had professional standards committee. It's now been moved up to the state level. So the local organization doesn't actually have professional standards committee any longer. That's moved to the state level. So if you were interested in it before at the local level and you're like, where did it go? It's moved to the state level. All right. So, and you can go on the Tennessee Realtors website, of course, and find those. And as luck would have it, committee applications are open now for Tennessee Realtors. All right. And they're open through August 15th. There's, you can go and read about all the different committees, again, just like at the local Greater Nashville level. You can read about the committees, find out more about what's required, what they're doing, find your interest, find your niche. And some are more, some are have a greater time requirement than others. Some have a what would you call it, a career trajectory requirement. For example, professional standards, you need to have been a member, a realtor, active realtor for 5 years. So, which makes sense. You know a little more about, that. So yeah, go on and take a look at that. It was in this week's The Digest. All right, that committee applications are open. Right. And then similar to the Greater Nashville Realtors Leadership Program, Tennessee Realtors has their Academy of Real Estate Advancement, their area program. All right, and it's a leadership development program. And the great thing is, it's not just about learning about our association and what we're doing and getting involved in leadership. It's actually leadership training, and you can take that into, let's say you want to start a team at some point, working with a team. There are all sorts of benefits you get from going through these programs, in addition to networking, meeting folks, and being able to serve our real estate industry at the local and state level. So the leadership program through Tennessee Realtors, again, it's to help become more familiar with our organization, how things work, our structure. At the state level, you've probably seen that officer nominations are open right now for area VPs and that sort of thing. So it's a different structure at the state level, but the leadership program, area program would help prepare you if you decided that you wanted to go into that sort of thing. So, and any active Tennessee Realtor can apply for this. You don't have to have participated at the local level in the leadership program or anything like that. However, the application is a little more involved than for this the Greater National Realtors one, because they want to see that people have been developing their volunteerism, their involvement, and participation. All right. So then we move to the NAR opportunities. And well, before I go on, anybody have any questions about Tennessee Realtors committees or anything like that? Again, you can go on the website and look at them, but the most important thing to know is applications are open now for committees. And again, even if you haven't served on a local committee for Greater Nashville Realtors, it does not mean that you cannot apply to be on a Tennessee Realtors committee.
You served on Tennessee or not?
I have served on the Tennessee Realtors YPN, Young Professionals Network Committee.
Last year?
Yes, it was last year. Thank you. Yes, it was. And this is a shameful moment for me, but I will share that I missed the committee application deadline for Tennessee Realtors last year. And so I did not get on the committee that I wanted to. So
Did the grievance committee?
the grievance committee? That sounds terrible.
That sounds fantastic. I mean, this also, I think it was called grievance, but
Yes, there's a
they
grievance committee.
never meet. So like you get the points and the credit. So if you were going for credits, which is one of the benefits of if you're trying to get those awards, which I don't do it anymore, but they only meet when they have grievances or problems. Well, so that was like twice a year. And then they only call a certain amount of people, so then they'll send it out for review. Of course, it's all confidential, but that one worked out real well for me.
And that was a Tennessee Realtors
That was
or
that
Greater
was
Nashville?
Hannah.
Okay, so I've gone back to the Greater Nashville Realtors
Yeah.
committees. We don't have a grievance committee anymore.
There you go, probably for that reason. Maybe it was under legislative.
So and legislatives, if you're really interested in having your finger on the pulse of what's going on locally in real estate legislation, SDR with what's going on with Metro Council, all that, the legislative committee that's one that I'm throwing my hat in the ring for this next time. John Dotson has been chair of that committee for a couple of times, and I've talked to him about that service, and it really sounds like something I'd be very interested in.
And I would attend to your local council meetings. I haven't historically like regularly, but I find like just even from the macro to micro, getting involved in your HOA, all those things like bring I've seen have been good places for me to learn and know, and have leveraged a lot of business out of them because they just sort of become a little bit of a content expert or resource for the people in the community. So when people look at like building their business or need more leads, it's just not paid. You don't have to just work with the houses or sit at bars. There's so many other places organically that are things that benefit you. And so I always want to tell people, like, start with what you're interested in. I don't care if it's guitar, ukulele, it's like scuba diving. There are clubs and meetings, meetup groups, and all those things. Even if you just like want to pick up trash and versus want to park, there's a meetup group or a Facebook group or a something for and it's free. And then if you also leverage that on your social media, ask others to get involved. You might find like they just, oh my gosh, I've been wanting to join that and check that out. It's just so powerful. Like, when people and why you want to share that in the social environment, because it's not like you're trying to boast about it, it's creating connection. Then they learn, like, what are you into? People know I have pit bulls, I don't know I have pit bulls, you know, but it's like, oh, how's your dog? But people ask that. Sorry.
Oh, no, all excellent. So I just pulled up Zoomlanders. Do you now see the Tennessee Realtors website?
Yep.
Excellent. Just pulled it up. There's some, if you haven't looked here in a while, you can come here to members and go to that section. And this is where you can find out all the different committees and how to submit your application and all that. But we're just quickly into the opportunities of at the national level, the National Association. So you've got so many more committees at the national level, all right? And the requirements for getting on a committee for at the NAR level tend to be service at least the local or state level as well, but not necessarily. Our good friend and colleague, Betsy Luttrell, was a first-time service person on the Environmental and Sustainability Advisory Group, I think, because that's her jam, right? So she's a licensed architect, she's a licensed contractor, she's a licensed realtor who is all about sustainable building and responsible environmentally sound practices. And so she threw her hat in the ring and she was uniquely qualified for it and got on that. So there are just tons of committees, and I'm going to skip to those, and I'm going to do this in the reverse order, but I also want to point out that just like at the Greater Nashville level and the Tennessee Realtors level, there is a national level leadership opportunity for training. And so it's called Leadership Academy. All right. So the deadline for the 2023 Leadership Academy closed already. But if you're interested in the 2024 Leadership Academy, it'll be available on December 7th of this year. And it is a fairly rigorous program. I haven't even deigned to consider. But you'll see a lot of names. For example, in the digest that just came out this week, you'll see names like Cher Powers and Brian Copeland, who have just recently applied for and been selected for committee roles at the national level. And if I'm not mistaken, Brian's gone through the Leadership Academy here. But anyway, the point of all that is just to say that so you can start at the local, state level, but also there are resources at the national level. I know it's
Fantastic.
Yeah.
so
I know what's right for me.
the crazy, and so here's the application. It's crazy. You can look at the session date. So whereas with the Greater Nashville Leadership Academy, there are three dates you commit to. The Tennessee area leadership program, I believe there are 6 dates you commit to, and for the national, there's a lot of stuff in a lot of different locations. You're really in there doing it. This one's at the Legislative Meeting and Trade Expo, and they take you into meetings with them, and you see how things work and you learn how things work. They also require, I believe, a firstborn child in order to do that.
It's cool though. I mean, these are great ways to like create vacations, tax deductible, broaden your knowledge, network with other agents. I mean, Brian Copeland's going to be the NAR person.
Absolutely.
He's on track for this. This is, and for us to have like somebody that's like that close and accessible with us, and like Christy Harrison and Cher Powers, like and Hagen, and we have a lot of people very involved in the national level, and I would encourage you to kind of connect with them and look at getting involved, because again, it's just, to me, it's always about like leverage. You know, it can actually really help your business, even if you go with other realtors and in DC, because it's not the business. It's all just, social media content, knowledge for yourself, things you can leverage on a broader spectrum of affordable housing, issues that involve like protecting, protecting the tax deduction of capital gains. That's not like, we almost take that as like a law and a right, but it really isn't. And it's on the legislative deck. Almost every new administration is a way to capture a huge amount of money that we're giving back to homeowners.
Absolutely. National Flood Insurance Program.
Yeah.
So, so just sum up, as I want to be respectful of everyone's time, and I'm always happy to hang for an after party and talk about it. But we've just been talking about how volunteerism and leadership can be an important part of your real estate business, finding your why, finding, creating a more comprehensive career in real estate rather than just a job. We talked about volunteer opportunities at the local, state, and national level, both with, outside of a realtor organization, but specifically within the realtor organization structure. And I neglected to mention, at least at the local level, with the Greater Nashville Realtors, they do create some opportunities to volunteer in the community, specifically through the Habitat for Humanity sponsored build they do every year. And what better way to get involved in demonstrate your commitment to home ownership, and which is, home ownership is is the underlying reason we're here. Right, our industry is so, and making it affordable and accessible, because it helps build generational wealth in families and in our community. So it's a good thing. Now, if swinging a hammer isn't your jam, that's okay, but that's one opportunity through Greater Nashville where you can actually get your feet on the street. And I will throw out there that I had a closing last month with a construction manager for Nashville area Habitat for Humanity, and I met her on the Habitat build and just started talking, and she said she was interested, and she was a first-time homeowner, home buyer, and that sort of stuff. So I actually literally got business from showing up and talking to somebody at Habitat. So that's not why I went there. It was I've lost count, but I think it was somewhere around my 26th or 27th build project that I've been on. And so first time I've ever gotten business from it. But anyway, you just never know. So we've explored volunteer opportunities and leadership opportunities at the local, state, and national level. We focused more on leadership opportunities through the realtor organizations at Greater Nashville, Tennessee Realtors, and the National Association. But there are leadership opportunities through committee participation at the realtor organization, but also through your not-for-profits, getting on board. Ted mentioned he was on the board of the Nashville Area Red Cross. I served on the board of Pencil, which supports it connects community resources and Metro Nashville Public Schools. So you can actually develop leadership skills through that as well. And then maybe some ways to get started on your next volunteer leadership adventure. And so I just thank you all so much for participating in the conversation. I'm always excited to find like-minded folks who just want to get out there and do something because you're called to it.